You may remember the video that we showed you right here. Confrontation between a DC landlord and a bat-wielding tenant. Tonight, the I-Team's John Barr has more on this situation and how it's becoming all too common in the district.
Tenants not paying rent, denying access to the property, and then landlords left at their wits' end. And John is here live in studio now with more on this, Sean.
Yeah, we first told you about this dispute between the tenant and landlord back in September. Spoiler alert, it's still going on. This one case, according to landlord Jeffrey Levine, has involved 14 different city agencies, more than 70 court appearances, more than 20 calls to police, more than 100 building code violations. All of that for one 225 square foot apartment on Capitol Hill and a tenant who won't pay rent and will not leave. This row home in Capitol Hill sits on a relatively quiet street.
Back up!
But inside, the dispute over the basement apartment is anything but peaceful.
You just hit my wife. You do that again?
Back up!
One tenant blocked 93 inspections.
You're not letting me in for the inspection?
One tenant kept inspectors waiting as long as 6 hours.
Get the out!
I have not been able to renovate or sell my building. I am basically stuck.
That was owner Jeffrey Levine earlier this month, pleading his case to D.C. council members, explaining how Michelle Watley, the only tenant in a 7-unit building, not only hasn't paid rent since July 2023, but continues to report violations to city inspectors.
Oh, we'll come within our places. Let's defend ourselves.
Hold on a second. So, oh my goodness, man. We got a lot to unpack right from the beginning. Because I didn't know she hadn't paid rent since July 2023, I believe they said. And then on top of that, she's the only tenant in that building that has 7 units. So what it looks like is that this guy's trying to get this building ready for him to put on the market and sell it. He's trying to get out of it, but he can't sell it. Why? Because who's going to buy this home? And one, they can't get in her apartment and actually inspect it and take a look at everything. But two, who wants this headache to have to deal with, who hasn't been able to apparently get evicted for almost 3 years? So that's going to make it impossible to sell it. And this is why I'm a stock guy. Because no matter what the market's doing, when I want to sell, whether I take a loss or whether I take a win, I can sell when I decide to sell, and I can liquefy just like that. However, in this case, this guy has to maneuver all this red tape to deal with this tenant. And we haven't even got to the other aspects, right? Of her dang near attacking him and his wife apparently with a bat. I don't understand the difficulty. Being difficult for no reason, apparently. And then what's going to end up happening is when you get out here and, you know, you ultimately hit rock bottom, which a lot of difficult people do, then all of a sudden you're going to be a victim and you're not going to know what happened. And this is what I can't stand, because it always stems back to things like this. But whenever it is that we're coming with a handout now, and now we want to humble ourselves, we just forget about this whole saga of all the chaos and all the people that we inconvenienced, you know, throughout our lives. And then we wonder why we hit rock bottom.
Only to then deny them and Levine access to the apartment to make repairs.
I was there with Roto-Rooter to fix the toilet that she clogged.
Miss Watley, I'm here with the plumber. This is the third and final attempt. Are you letting me in, or are you not going to let me in?
She was in the building, in the unit, and would not let the Roto-Rooter guy in.
Who is the plumber?
Excuse me? Who's the plumber? He's a plumber from Roto-Rooter.
By my calculation, I have over 200 denial of entries. However, I have 93 that I obtained through FOIA that she actually emailed the district, you cannot come in. The department.
Who's the plumber? You know what's funny? Let me talk to the fellas for a second. Fellas, imagine that's your baby mother. Imagine. She got her toilet clogged. Obviously, if they know, then that means she reported it. And she's got to be so controlling to the point of like, who's the plumber? What do you mean? He can get whatever plumber he wants to get. It's his property. He just has to fix it. That's his obligation. But she just can't stay in her lane and just cooperate. This is insane.
Department of Buildings. And guess what? They didn't go in.
A Department of Buildings spokesperson tells 7 News DOB can confirm that on multiple occasions, inspectors failed to gain access to 105 6th Street Northeast after an inspection was scheduled. DOB didn't give us a specific number of times that happened, but says agency records point to a range of between 10 and 70.
Good morning, Chairperson Mendelson, fellow council members and staff.
We wanted to ask Keith Parsons, the Strategic Enforcement Administrator for the Department of Buildings, why inspectors would tolerate being denied access so often. Parsons wouldn't talk to us, but he explained it this way to the D.C. Council.
If someone does not let us in, then we can't go in.
I don't think this is satisfactory that the tenant could deny you access. And that's the end of it. There's got to be a solution.
The Department of Buildings tells 7 News overall there are currently 42 open violations at Levine's building, totaling more than $40,000 in fines.
Ms. Watley,
Levine says he can't fix those violations unless Watley opens the door.
It's the playbook. It's the playbook to delay paying rent or to avoid paying rent.
Rich Bianco has been a real estate attorney in the...
You know what's funny? The funny thing is, it's because when we talk about rights and when we talk about laws that actually help the citizen, right, or the landlord, especially on these smaller scales, notice how there's all these gaps and there's all these points within the laws to where it allows for a gray area for then people to exploit. But you want to know what's funny? Whenever we talk about the laws that would require citizens to have to owe the government in any type of capacity, things are ironclad and things are sold up to the point to where there's no wiggle room. They can get you every which way, especially when we're talking about, you know, you owing them their money or you doing something that would enable them to foreclose on your home or whatever the case. Then the laws are real smooth. They're laid out real nice. They're real user friendly. But when we deal with these things, when it comes to landlords and, you know, tenants, then all of a sudden there's all these gaps in between that we don't understand. How are you not able to do that? How do you not have the ability to do that? This doesn't make sense. Well, it's simply because those laws were an afterthought. The main focus when creating the laws was to make sure, I guess, that the government had more control, or maybe even in cities and counties, they want to make sure that they can do what they need to do. They're not really focused on you being able to maneuver out here and be able to, you know, thrive and, you know, keep it moving how you need to. They're focused on making sure that you do right by them.
The district for 25 years.
In order to get a business license, you need to have an inspection by the Department of Buildings. So by denying the Department of Buildings access to do a business licensing inspection, tenants can effectively delay landlord's ability to get into court.
Bianco says there may be a way out for Levine. The courts, he explains, can give an exception to landlords who are unable to gain access to their properties because of an uncooperative tenant.
And the exception is not perfect, but it is a lifeline for folks that find themselves in the situation that this particular housing provider finds himself in.
Remember, the last time we saw Michelle Watley was in this video confrontation with Levine and his wife. A judge found Watley was the aggressor during this heated argument in a common hallway where Levine, as the landlord, had every right to be. In her most recent lawsuit, Watley alleged Levine has systematically failed to maintain the property and make necessary repairs, adding, "This sustained negligence appears to be a deliberate strategy to force plaintiff to vacate." Levine, meantime, says Watley has cost him millions in losses, not to mention more than 2 years of unpaid rent.
I don't know why DC is not doing anything about it, and I don't know how this ends. But if I'm on the right side of the ground, which I am now, I won't stop, because what's happened to me could happen to anybody in DC.
Who thinks that if the government or somebody can foreclose on your home, that it's going to take this long in order for them to come up with a solution? Who thinks that if you owe the government taxes, that it's going to take this long for them to collect? You know, but all of us, or the city, whatever, DC. But with these disputes between landlord and tenant, it's almost impossible. It's like a Rubik's Cube that you have to literally, everything has to pan out perfect. And notice what they said, right? They said that there are exceptions for if the landlord, or excuse me, if the tenant is being difficult, to where you can at least get in the home. We're not even talking about a victim, but at least be able to get access to the home. But yeah, he still hasn't had access. Isn't that incredible? And he's gone there over like 90 times, I believe he said. So it's like, what has to be proven? And this is just where we're at. And this is what a lot of people have to deal with. And sadly, we wouldn't even have to worry about all these laws and all these, fine prints of the interpretation of it if we could just be decent to each other, right? If we didn't just take advantage because we can, just do the right thing. And you got some people who will just go out of their way to be difficult, like I believe that woman's being. And I think that karmic retribution is real. So, and especially, it may not even be karmic retribution, but just when you continue to compound actions and being difficult to other people and being ugly to other people, it's just going to compound, and it's not going to compound in your favor ultimately. So let's leave it there. Y'all like the video. Also subscribe if you want to join Limitless Legion. Cash App's link below if you want to tip the channel. And also feel free to join the Patreon where I post self-improvement content. Till then, I'll catch you in the next video.